Welcome to our talk on the horrors of church history. While what is in the past is often best left there, I have heard of people rejecting the Christian message because of what the church has done in the past. So it's perhaps right that we look together at this topic. There are horrific evils perpetrated by men, women, and churches in the name of Christianity. I simply cannot accept denial as a satisfactory response. Denial does not mean something didn't happen. Those who deny the Holocaust are clear evidence of that. History teaches us to face up to the horrors of the past, to learn from them, apologise where necessary, and move on. I shall start with just a few of the horrors perpetrated in the name of Christianity. In 1095, when Pope Urban II made a plea for war with Muslims, armies of Christians took up the charge. An army of peasants led by Peter the Hermit was massacred by the Turks. When an army of knights retaliated and captured Jerusalem, it was said they slaughtered Muslims until the streets ran with blood. This was only the beginning. The Crusades continued until 1396, centuries of warfare and not known before human suffering. Pope Innocent IV explicitly condoned torture as an Inquisition interrogation technique in his papal bull of 1252. Anyone could be tortured, or worse, for alleged heresy, blasphemy, immorality, witchcraft, love magic, whatever that is, and anything else the Pope wanted to throw in. The Knights Templar is only known by most people from the book The Da Vinci Code. In 1307, Pope Clement V had members of the Knights Templar arrested and tortured, gaining false confessions of heresy. Knights confessed to spitting on the cross, fraud, and secrecy, which was apparently a crime. Nobody cared the confessions arose from torture and were recanted afterwards. John Wycliffe was a famous English theologian and vocal critic of the Church. Wycliffe worked on the first English translation of the Bible, hoping to give people direct access to the Word of God. Wycliffe died of a stroke in 1384, but in 1415 he was declared a heretic. Not only did the Church order his books to be burned, but they also ordered his body exhumed and burned. It took them 12 years to do that, so 43 years after Wycliffe died, his corpse was torched and the ashes thrown in the river. In 1429, 17-year-old Joan of Arc, believing God had spoken to her, led an uprising to get the English out of France. French King Charles VII accepted Joan's help in his fight against the English, and together they won some major battles. When Joan was captured, Charles handed her over to the Church, who put her on trial for heresy, with no evidence. She was cool, calm, and full of integrity throughout the trial. Because there was no evidence of heresy, Joan was found guilty of wearing men's clothes, for which she was burned at the stake in 1431, in front of thousands. 25 years later, King Charles ordered a retrial in which she was found innocent and declared a martyr. In 1487, Pope Innocent VIII declared by papal bull that witches were real. He ordered 2 clergymen to write a book on witches. The books included Satanists, who were invented for the book, and related issues. The book was very sexist and focused almost exclusively on women, promoting burning them at the stake. No one knows how many deaths it inspired, or its influence was huge. The book was also filled with some very dubious information about witches and Satanists. They stop cows from giving milk, they ride through the air on broomsticks, and they eat children. You would think the Church would make the mass distribution of its core text a main priority. But in the 16th century, this was the last thing the powerful Catholics wanted. Scholar William Tyndale went into hiding to translate the Bible into English so that lay people could read it for themselves. When copies were smuggled around Europe, Catholic authorities demanded that they be burned. Tyndale was captured, tried for heresy for daring to translate the Bible, and burned at the stake. The Church and science have a complicated relationship. In 1633, Galileo Galilei was put on trial for saying the sun is the centre of the universe and the earth moves around it. Pope Urban VIII was having none of it, seeing Galileo's statement as heresy. 10 cardinals sat in judgment on Galileo, who was threatened with torture, imprisonment, and even being burned at the stake. Galileo was subjected to house arrest from then until the day he died. It has been well publicised that there has been a systematic cover-up of abuse, molestation and rape at the hands of priests that went all the way to the top of the Catholic Church. Conservative estimates say there are at least 100,000 victims worldwide. When complaints came in, priests and other offenders were transferred rather than punished. The extent of their actions will probably never be fully understood because of the decades of cover-up. Tragically, this remains an ongoing issue. As I said at the beginning, this really is just the tip of the iceberg. When the message of the Church is clear, love, forgiveness and right living, those claiming to be God's people have a history of hate, cruelty and shame. G.K. Chesterton wrote, "Christendom has had a series of revolutions, and each one of them Christianity has died. Christianity has died many times and risen again, for it had a God who knew the way out of the grave." Shakespeare wrote, "The evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred with their bones." How easy it is to be specific with criticism, but less so when commending someone. It's no surprise, therefore, that often the dark side of church history is highlighted. As well as areas such as the Inquisition and the Crusades, there are other areas where the church has been criticised. The era of the conquistadors, life under Oliver Cromwell, the critique of the Victorian era, and into today's global society and secularism. People prefer to see the church's failings rather than its virtues. If we act with humility and not worldly power, with supernatural weapons, with love shown by deeds, and with renewed vision, the church will continue to be, as it has always been, the road sign. A guidepost for weary travellers on their way through this dark world, and that is as it should be. If you would like to know more, then talk to someone you know who is a true Christian, or contact us at any of the addresses given on this slide. Or, if you're local, why not pop in to see us one Sunday morning? You will always be very welcome.